Hi handsome and welcome to my 63rd video, as well as to another IronPan episode. The series where I attempt to make 1 million of every meal in the game without the use of the center market to buy the ingredients. It's been a while since we last checked in with the series, so today I want to go through one of the last remaining quote-unquote easy recipes to make and also look into the potential future of the series as a whole. As I said, Calpheon meal is one of the last kind of easy or at least not super difficult meals to make 1 million of. However, it has two things that make it a level above the meals we have done so far, but to keep the suspense, I will ramp up the ingredients in terms of difficulty throughout this video. Starting obviously with the easiest ingredients, which are the vendor ones. So if this is your first IronPan video you've seen of me and you somehow don't know where to get your strawberries, salt, olive oil and the like, go watch some of the previous videos in the challenge, as I will assume people already know where to procure these ingredients. The second easiest ingredient to get are the dried fish needed for the fish fillet salad. You can get these from a bunch of worker nodes found all across the Calpheon and Balanos islands. These nodes used to be quite good money back in the day, and I don't think they are super bad today either, as they can get you coral pieces, as some of the fish fetch a nice price on the center market too. I will also put the grain worker nodes at the same spot, which means the second easiest, as you don't need that much grain for the dough and flour in this meal. So with the number of worker nodes in the game, this should be no issue whatsoever. Just a casual reminder to not make the dough out of wheat, as you will need more wheat dough to cook with compared to any other. In third to last place, we have the sunflowers, roses and tulips. These are clumped all together because you can use them interchangeably in the single recipe, which is tea with fine scent, which is in turn required to make milk tea. You need roughly 100,000 combined of all of these, which translates to roughly 5 to 6 hours of gathering at the Northern Wind Plantation found in Calpheon. The spot I enjoyed the most was this part of the plantation with a bunch of tulips in the field as well as roses strewn around the fences. You can also gather the sunflowers on the other side of the plantation as well as this patch of land next to the Calpheon walls, and then you can take those seeds because sunflowers are the only ones out of these three plants that actually you can plant in your fences and put them there. But I would not recommend planting sunflowers into your fences as you have other things to grow that cannot be obtained otherwise, and the sunflower rotations are generally quite poor, especially compared to the tulips and roses one. Speaking of which, the next place is going to be the farming crops that you actually should put into your fences. You need three types of them: garlic, onions and pepper. The quantity of them you need for the Calpheon meal really isn't that out of the ordinary, and you should be able to get this done before you finish all the other ingredients. Fourth place belongs to our old friend, red meat. I made a dedicated video on specifically red meat that tells you all the possible places in the entire game, where to get them, and also ranks them for you, so you know which spots to go to and which spots to avoid. You will need roughly 330,000 meat for this recipe, which translates to roughly 16 to 18 hours of gathering or around 10 to 12 hours of hunting. If you are a god tier sniper hunter with high mastery, you can get this number as low as like 5 to 6 hours, but I will assume that most of you aren't, so 10 hours it is. Now, one small fun fact about the recipe here is that the sub meal you're making from red meat is called meat pasta, but if you get the higher grade version of it, the name changes to spaghetti alla bolognese, which has to mean that Bologna, and by extension the country of Italy, is canonically part of Black Desert's world. Maybe we will visit it in a future expansion, who knows. The bronze medal belongs to none other than Cooking Honey. This little guy will play an important role in the next couple videos, but he is already rearing his honestly ugly head here. You need roughly 280,000 cooking honey for this meal, and you will mostly be getting this from the two worker nodes in the game, one in Alejandro Farm in Serendia and the other in Zuvier Highlands next to Islton. There is one other way to get them, but I really, and I do mean really, don't want to talk about that one, so if I have to, I will keep it for the next video. Second place belongs to eggs. 460,000. That is how many you will need for this recipe. It is absolutely a lot of eggs, and just like red meat, I have a dedicated video on how to get them, so you can go and watch that. Thankfully, I didn't need that many eggs for the last recipe I did on the series, so I had a bunch of left over, but that might once again not be the case in the future. And finally, the absolutely worst ingredient to get for this recipe was milk. Yeah, milk. Now, why milk, you may ask? It is very simple. Because you need more than 800,000 milk for the Calpheon meal. There are 5 ways to get milk. Farming, which is absolutely horrendous. Do not do that. Imperial delivery seals you get from Imperial cooking, which I use for eggs, so I can't use it for milk as well. The random quest you get every now and then when you're cooking, but this has to be either the second or the third difficulty, because the first one only lets you choose, and once again, eggs will always have priority here. And then finally we have 2 that I did actually use, which is handing in witches delicacies to Liana, who you can find in any major city, where every 10 of these delicacies gets you 120 milk. And finally, and you already know this one, I think, milking cows. You have multiple places to milk cows in the game, from Olvia, through Calpheon, all the way to Grana and Duvenkrun. And all of these have a daily quest for a small quantity of extra goodies, as well as getting you some energy back for using the minigame. To milk a cow, you just go to her and press R, which gives you this minigame where you just hold left and right click alternatively, and make sure to not hold one for too long. A single cow takes 10 energy and gives around 50 to 70 milk. This means that if we were to just milk cows to get the milk that we need, we would have to milk 13,600 cows. I don't even know how long that would take, if I'm being honest. All I know that it took me roughly 15 to 20 minutes to empty one of my character's energy bar with 2 energy pots, which is like 80 cows. And yes, even I, the person with several million meals in his storage, had to do this, because I made the mistake of not realizing how much milk this meal really requires, and I used some of my delicacies for contribution points when Edania released. Definitely was not fun milking the cows till they came home, but hey, at least it is behind me now. And yeah, that is the entire recipe for Calpheon meal done. Now, I think that we need to talk a bit about the future of the series, because it's been over a year since I started on this crazy journey. Don't worry, this is not me saying that I am giving up or that the series is taking a hiatus. To illustrate where we are, the goal is to make 1 million of a total of 17 meals, out of which we have now finished 6, and I already am basically done with the 7th, and I'm working on the 8th. The problem here is the same as there has always been, as a lot of the work in getting the ingredients has to be and can only be done by workers. And on top of this, I am also now getting pulled into another direction by the game, because I did not want to just burn out by constantly gathering the same ingredients. If you are a regular on Twitch, you already know this, but if you don't, I actually have 2 dreams when it comes to quote-unquote finishing BDO. One is of course the IronPan, so 1 million of every single meal, and the second is the thing that I've been working on Twitch for quite some time now in the background, and that is 1 million of every trash loot from all the grind spots in BDO, starting in Medea kind of and moving upwards from there. Now this has been kind of competing for my attention with the IronPan, and I started it mostly because I didn't want to just wait for workers while I'm doing more gathering, and I wanted to diversify my gameplay because otherwise I just burn out and I don't really want that to happen. So I started working on this, and really the only reason why you haven't seen this on YouTube is because I don't really know how to translate that series into a video. My only kind of idea was something alongside what people like Duodecil do, so basically reviews of grind spots. Maybe that's something that I could do if you would like me to do that, but I don't think that a format similar to the IronPan would really work for something like this. It would have to be something a bit more informational. Do let me know what you think about that idea. Do let me know if you perhaps want to see it. If you are wondering how far we are in that challenge, well, here is the storage that I have currently in the game. As you can see, we are not really that far, but we did already finish 2 of those spots, although they were the easiest ones to do. And yeah, this doesn't mean that IronPan is going anywhere. I want to kind of do both of them at the same time. It is also to make Twitch a bit more interesting, so I'm sorry to my purely YouTube people for maybe not making IronPan as often as I possibly could be. I would just like to really know your opinion about this, as well as any suggestions that you might have, since I think that this is something that has never been done before and probably never will be done, even by me. So being the first person to at least come somewhat close, I think would be an insane accomplishment. You know, being the first in something is always nice. So yeah, I won't take any more of your time, handsome. Thank you for watching. This was a bit more off the cuff than I wanted to. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned something about the Calpheon meal along the way. Do tell me what you think about what I just talked about with the other series. Remember to like and subscribe and enjoy your grind.